Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dodgy Punt AFL podcast, Just the Tips edition, where we seek to bring you all the insight into the upcoming round ahead in a fun tipping format. I'm Jesse. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost Liam. We've managed to get Worse Macklemore in the studio today, so welcome, Worse Macklemore, with that little get up into the show. How are you feeling? Are you feeling glorious?
I'm feeling cold as shit, man. That's why I'm wearing my beanie. I got my jumper on. Gross Macklemore. Don't do that to me. It's just a cold guy over here. That's
Hey,
all.
I said worse. You chose gross. I said worse.
I mean, potato. It's but I'm doing well, Jesse. I'm here to tip, and you said, like you said, offer all the insights in this fun little competition. I'm sure that everyone will see our scores and be like, yeah, these guys are professionals at tipping. So much so that we've had to change it up a little bit, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Well, I was going to say, in the spirit of the AFL, the competition that we do follow on this podcast, we've decided if you can't beat them, join them. So we're now going to start to do ambiguous and bizarre interpretive rule changes at round... Where are we? We're at round 15.
15.
Liam,
15.
why wouldn't we? So what are we doing to make our viewers' lives more confusing?
Well, before we get into that, Jesse, some housekeeping, as we do.
Oh, yes.
See, I remember this time. Go me.
I argue this is housekeeping.
That's true. This is the most important housekeeping, though. You can get us on at Dodgy Punts on Instagram and across all of the spectrums of entertainment, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and YouTube, where you can find Dodgy Punts, Just the Tips, and also some clips and some snippets from our main podcast. This week will be part 2 of our clumps, our mid-season review. So please go and check that out. I encourage you and implore you. Now, Jesse, this ambiguous and weird rule change that we're bringing in, I think it's actually going to be quite exciting and bring a little bit of, a little bit of an extra element, a bit of an X factor.
Is this because you're losing?
No, not because I'm losing. I mean, this is going to be separate to our tips. This is going to be a separate thing. Okay. But if I do win this, then I can be like, I won something. So yeah, I guess it is because I'm losing. But no, I've got a wrestling podcast I love to listen to. I've got to shout these guys out because this is where I got the idea. Stephen Larson, Going in Raw. It sounds dodgy. It's not. Raw is the name of one of the TV shows that is on wrestling, as you would all know if you watch the Graps. But they do predictions for the wrestling shows, and they have what's called confidence points. What they do is they say who they think is going to win, and they assign a confidence point value to it. How does that work, Jesse? I'll tell you how that works. There are 6 rounds. 6 rounds? Nah, 6 games this round. Now, of those 6 games, we assign each game a confidence value from 1 to 6. Cannot be repeated. So, if you tip, let's say, North Melbourne to win, and you're the most confident about that, you'll say 6 points to that. If you think Essendon's going to beat West Coast and you're the least confident, you'll say 1 confidence point for that, and all the way through. And at the end, we have a lovely tally. Just a bit of an X factor. And I think the AFL might be missing a trick when it comes to tipping. Mix it up a little bit, Jesse. If this goes well for the rest of the year, who's to say we won't bring this in our own little cheeky competition next year? What do you say?
Can we trade confidence points mid-season against their will?
Well, it's round by round.
I was making a mid-season trade joke.
Oh, okay.
Can I father-son my confidence points? Can I make this as confusing as humanly possible and somehow annoy no one and everyone at the same time, as is tradition with this administration currently?
Sure, Jesse, sure. If you want to bring us some academy points as well, bring them in, only after nurturing them for 2 or 3 years, then that's fine as well. But we can discuss that later. It's like legacy points. That's like legacy points. God, we can make this probably much more complicated, but we won't. We'll stick to the confidence points for now. Okay. That said, that's the housekeeping. Jesse, do you understand the rules?
No, and we talk about it every week. I don't understand the rules. No, I do understand the broader sense of what you're getting at here. The more confident I am, the higher points I assign. The least confident I am, the lower amounts of points I assign.
Easy.
That is the gist of our Sideshow Bob to our Bart Simpson here on Dodgy Punts, Just the Tips for the remainder of season 2024.
Why not? And before we get into the games proper, should I give everyone an update as to where the tips currently stand in the tipping competition proper? At the moment, Jesse is sitting on 78. I am 5 behind on 73, which is why I've brought this lovely new competition in to give myself some semblance of joy for the rest of the season. These two little question marks that you'll see just up in the middle. Which way am I pointing? Over here somewhere. There we go. I could have done that a lot easier. It's there. F me dead. I fucked that up. In the middle there are some question marks. Yeah, all those dollars. I can just bleep it out. And also, not a problem. Those question marks will be where our confidence points will go next week once we begin this going on next week. Let's go. Jesse, who are we starting with the buys in round 15?
Let's start with the buys. We shouldn't mourn the loss of Adelaide, Collingwood, Western Bulldogs, Hawthorn. I'm not going to mourn St Kilda not playing this week, and Richmond. Those 6 teams do not participate in round 15. I'm either sorry for your loss or congratulations, depending on how you feel about your club at the moment. Shall we get into maybe the best Friday night game of the year so far? Certainly on paper.
I think we should, Jesse. Now, it was a draw last round. 4 tips a pop. Now, are we doing golf rules, which means I still go first, or because it's been a few weeks, let's let you decide. Would you like to go first, or would you like to defer?
I haven't actually had the option since we brought in the snakes and ladders way of doing it. I've had to defer to you every single time because I've beaten you every single time. So congratulations. All right, mate. Congratulations on your ball draw, Ross. I am going to go first here because I don't get to go first very often, and it's nice. And I am going to start off by taking Carlton in the first game of the round. This is something that could come back to bite me depending on what Liam does in about a minute's time, but I like what Carlton are now building. They seem to have gotten their structure sorted. They're a fit Carlton side. They don't have a lot of key players currently on the shelf, and they seem to be winning. They're up there in the form table. They are second on the ladder and just about second in the form table, such as the evenness of the competition this season. So they're going well. 4 of their last 5 have been wins. They're a side that's winning. They're doing well. They play the G very well, as do Geelong, admittedly, but happy to go with Carlton here. I think this is a big opportunity for both these sides to tell us where they are in that San Sydney pecking order of 2024. I think Carlton may just have enough on their side to get the job done. Liam, are you going to chance your arm here and try to nick a point off me in the first game of the round?
Well, before we do, Jesse, how many confidence points do you have on Carlton beating Geelong?
Oh, very little. I have 2 confidence points on... Interesting. 2 confidence points on Carlton.
Interesting. I have exactly the same thing. Carlton with 2 confidence points. I think because the same thing. They're the better side at the moment. It is the G. They seem to have a different level at the G. They're fun to watch. You see, you kind of said it all though. Like at this stage of the season, like this is where Carlton need to put the foot down and be like, right, we are serious contenders. And this is the game to do it. If they don't do it in this game, it's not to say it's all done and dusted because Geelong obviously are a very good team. But on form at the moment, Geelong 1 out of the last 5, potentially going 6-1. So going from 7 wins to 1 win in the last 7, it's about where it's at. So Carlton for me, but because the Geelong unknown, 2 confidence points for me as well. Who's next, Jesse?
Let's move on to Adelaide Oval, Saturday morning football for us here in Perth, and it's Port Adelaide versus Brisbane. If the bookies were having confidence points on this game, it would be about 0.01 confidence points towards Port Adelaide, such are the tightness of the markets here. Liam, are you siding with the bookmakers here or potentially picking an upset in the 20th year anniversary of these two sides' famous 2004 AFL Grand Final clash?
I'm actually liking Brisbane. I'm actually going to go Brisbane in this game. I'm going to go Brisbane. 1 confidence point. Not many confidence points because obviously this one, probably of all the games this round, is the biggest coin toss outside potentially the last game of the round. But I think Brisbane are starting to come to the fore now. I think they're starting to get things together. We've said this before. We've said this a lot. But I don't know. I've got a good feeling about them now. The vibes are up a little bit. And you know what I'm all about vibes when it comes to tipping, and it's obviously serving me very well. But yeah, I think they'll get the job done. Port Adelaide, they kick straight, they'll be okay. But I just think the Brisbane are going to be too strong for them, even at home. Port Adelaide are on a bit of a slide, methinks. I've got a feeling. Jesse?
Yeah, I don't disagree with your core premise about Port being on a slide, but Brisbane need to do a lot more to impress me than what they have. They almost bottled it against a rancid St Kilda side last week. They have not played well away from home. with the exception of that Western Bulldogs game in season 2024. I'm not enthused. I'm going Port Adelaide here. I'm also not enthused about them, to be honest, yet I have to give them 3 confidence points. Such is the roadmap of this round. It's not a game I'm particularly looking forward to. Neither side, I think, is in very good form. As Liam referenced, if Port Adelaide can kick goals, they probably should win this game. That's not necessarily a shock. Defensively, I think they can cover Danaher and Hipwood going the other way, but they're going to have key players in that forward line step up. Having Zach Butters in the side may just be the difference. So going with Port Adelaide, 3 confidence points there, with the caveat that that's really this would probably be a 1 confidence point pick in other rounds.
That's fair, but it's funny how yours are 3, mine's a 1. But if I'd pick Port Adelaide, there is. This is why the confidence points are so exciting, Jesse. It's so exciting. I'm pumped already. Shut up. Let's go to the next game. Who's next?
We are going to the Battle of the Bridge, Saturday afternoon football, Greater Western Sydney versus the Sydney Swans. I remember when we came into the first Battle of the Bridge this season, which was about 5 minutes ago. I was going to
say, it feels like it was yesterday.
And that's not even your age showing through. It genuinely feels like it was pretty recent. Yeah. And thinking this was time for GWS to really stamp their authority on the season. Hasn't that changed? Sydney, for me, with a total of 4 confidence points here. I like the Swans. They've played with their food in the last 2 weeks. Ironic for a bird, given they make such delectable meat. But they have been very good coming from behind against both Geelong and Adelaide. They've got the list. GWS won against Port Adelaide, but to the cost of everyone who watched the game, whose soul died. And look, to be honest, I don't necessarily think it's a case of Fortress NG swings the pendulum in their favour. Sydney have proven time and time again, unless they're playing Richmond at the G, they can win on the road. They've played Fremantle and Optus, won. They've gone north, south, west. Can't really go east from Sydney, I don't think, too much. So they've taken the 3 compass points they can, and they've done it well. They've even managed to go southwest to take on Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. So Sydney for me with 4 confidence points. Liam, are you going to try to make it 2 different tips on the bounce here?
No. Okay. Like NG is not a, like, it's kind of not a home ground. I kind of think back and I harken back to that time you're talking about making Canberra their home ground and potentially moving the whole team to ACT. And I said at the time, rubbish. What a silly idea. After the last few games at NG, seeing them maybe amass a crowd of a total of 15,000 people, like across 2 games, goes to show that there's just not that it's not anything. It's kind of like an empty arena almost, right? There's no Coliseum feel. So even though obviously Sydney aren't exactly traveling far for this game, it'd be hard pressed to see them losing this game. But that said, these derbies sometimes bring out some weird results, don't they? But not today. I also have Sydney with 4. Go
on. Yep, great. So we are exactly in alignment there. Moving on to Saturday night football. They can't claim they fixture based on that's out the window, isn't it? Because honestly, best case scenario is probably this. Worst case scenario is an 100-point flogging with a rampant Melbourne at the start of the season. So yes, we have Melbourne versus North Melbourne at the MCG on Saturday night. To everyone who has to watch this, I'm sorry. Liam. No.
I mean, no, come on. It's always fun to see what North Melbourne can do for a couple of quarters. It's always nice. You see him come out, fire out the gates, see how much of a lead they get. We now know they need to actually get about a 70 to 80 point lead to not lose a game. Bless their cotton socks. Over-unders, Jesse, on the crowd at the G for this game?
37,500.
True, it's going to be nasty for a Saturday night. Why wouldn't the Battle of the Bridge be the nighttime game? That would be a bigger money ticket, you would have thought, right?
Especially given both sides played finals last year.
Right? Yeah.
You decide. You decide why that's in a death slot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. But I'm going Melbourne. Bless the Kangas. I like seeing them giving it a red hot crack, but they're not going to win. But then again, Melbourne, who knows? But they're coming off the bye, I believe, so they should be refreshed. Not that means anything. But Melbourne with 5 confidence points for me. I haven't given it the full 6 because I just don't think, I don't know, the fact that you could nearly take it up to Collingwood, there's a little bit of doubt there.
Yeah,
a little bit of doubt.
and there's one more game I'm slightly more confident on, and it's not this one. I'm exactly the same as you, Liam. Melbourne with 5 confidence points. Although I will say this, I actually am actively going for North Melbourne to win this game. I think that would be really funny. Moving on to Sunday morning football at Marvel Stadium. Now, we've seen how poorly West Australian teams play when they haven't had time to digest their morning coffee in their local time zone. And West Coast, well, they've got to do it at Marvel against Essendon. Tough game here. I get to go first. This just looks like, theoretically, a tick and flick for Essendon. They're not particularly good against West Coast historically. West Coast do not have Tim Kelly. They've actually improved by losing Dom Sheed this week. So there's swings and roundabouts there, but I don't think they have enough. So Essendon for me with 6 confidence points. I don't really need to spend too much time on this. I'm pretty confident that Essendon, even with 2 losses against their copybook in recent weeks, can arrest some momentum here, get a valuable 4 points. If they do lose this game or even win unconvincingly, that's potentially time for alarm bells to reverberate around Windy Hill then.
Yeah, pretty straightforward, this one. Like, if this was a month or 2 ago, I think we both would have put a bit more thought into it. But I think Essendon with full 6 for me. You said full 6, right, for Essendon as well?
Full 6.
Full 6. Eagles have kind of fallen off. But, at the start of the season, we were like, look at this basket case. And then randomly, out of the blue, they pulled something out of the bag and kept that going for a few weeks. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they've had that little flash in the pan for the year, and Essendon are going to win. Let's move on to the already. This is great about these 6 games, is that we're already at the final game of the round, Jesse.
Last and certainly least, at Optus Stadium at 2:00, Fremantle host the Gold Coast Suns, a team that has zero capacity when it comes to handling expectation versus a team that has zero capacity when it comes to exiting People First Stadium. This actually could be the first 0-0 draw in AFL history, Liam. Such is the incapacity of these two sides against their subsequent challenges at the moment. But you're up first here. Who are you going with in the final game of the round?
You're just dark. You're not going to be there, mate. That's what it is. You're just upset that you're not going to be there to witness the glory.
Witness the first 0-0 draw in AFL history.
No, I reckon. Well, this is the thing. It's either going to be a low-scoring affair or it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Gold Coast can put them away. They can put some goals away. We've got some very good defense, though. So it's going to be an interesting kind of battle of attrition, I reckon, this one. It'll be very interesting to see how it goes. Freo with 3 confidence points for me. I think we need to. It's pretty much it. This is coming from a fan. We need to. It's not a case of like what I think is going to happen. We just need to. This is a win we got to get. We're at home. We play better at home. And I don't really know what else to say about it. I'm scared. I want to cuddle up into a ball thinking about this game because I'm like, what's going to happen? But no, Freo with 3 for me, Jesse. And how about you? Finish us off with your tip.
Yeah, Freo with 1 for me. Home is where the heart is for Gold Coast, and it's not here. I have a couple of concerns, though, with Fremantle. One, which is an interesting concern, but for a very defensive-minded coach, I don't understand the reticence of Fremantle to use a tagger. And I think Tuke Miller needs to be targeted by Fremantle because we saw what happened in the St Kilda game. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that if you put time into Tuke Miller, that enormously disrupts the flow of Gold Coast. It massively affects how they play. I think Hayden Young could do the job. I think James Aish could do the job. You've got a couple of options there. We know there'll be changes. Walters won't be playing for a month. I really worry about that for Fremantle. Essentially now you're relying on your tools because I don't think any of Fremantle's smalls, and I wouldn't put Banfield in that group, I'd say he's in the taller side of things, are reliably putting away goals this season. Frederick's not. Emmett will probably come in. He certainly isn't. Switkowski is more valuable up the field now at this point, I think, and he's not really hitting the scoreboard. He's never really been a big scoreboard whacker. So I have real concerns if Mac Andrew shuts out Jai Miss. I don't think Tracy had a great game. Potentially his first poor game since early in the season last week, and that is going to be a big litmus test for him because he's enjoyed a bit of downhill skiing while things are good. that really could be a deciding factor in him. So Fremantle with 1 confidence point, but I need to see something from the Dockers this round if we're going to start talking about them again in the context of a September hope.
Very good. Well, thank you for coming on the confidence point ride with me, Jesse. Obviously, we do have some differences. I think once we get back to the 9 gamers, it's going to make it a bit more interesting. But this is just a little practice round because obviously next round we get back into the 9 gamers again. You know, our mid-season reviews are done. We've got to go back to full games, full reviews. Here we go. But that's it. That'll do it for the round 15 stuff. Jesse, sorry I interrupted. Go for it.
No, it's just that that's 3 more games worth of me to complain about umpiring. So, congratulations, everyone.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, Jesse. No, next week. What's that? Jesse whinges about ...
Just grumpy thoughts with Jesse and sometimes Liam.
Grumpy thoughts with Jesse facilitated by Liam.
Thoughts with Jesse, and when Jesse shuts up, Liam speaks.
Yeah, that about checks out. But we'll be back. We'll be back next week with the main pod, etc. Keep an eye out on YouTube for little tidbits, and of course on Instagram as well. Jesse, what would you like to do us the honor of sending us out?
I certainly will. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell over here on YouTube. Make sure you're telling the lawnmower person, I don't care whether they're a 13-year-old child doing their first job or an 80-year-old man, you tell them to subscribe to the Dodgy Punts AFL podcast on as many platforms as they so desire. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next week in the flesh for the Dodgy Punts Just the Tips edition.
Bye now.